Hey, this is Cory from Cycle of Ruin. I'm going to spend a few minutes going over gear, what I'm using live, my setup for recording and things like that. So we'll start at the very beginning with the signal chain, starting with my guitars. This is probably the main guitar that I use live and in the studio. I've been using this one for about all the 7-string stuff that we do, since we are primarily doing things 7-string now. So this is a neck through Jackson SL-AT7 active EMG pickups. It's really a super bare bones guitar. It's just a big heavy chunk of metal guitar. I use this one mostly live for all the 7-string stuff we do. I've recorded the last 3 songs we've done in the studio have been on this guitar, with the exception of some parts. I'll get to that later, but all my guitars are strung with Ernie Ball Super Slinky 9s, 9 through 52. This guitar is super simple. It's simple setup. I like simple things when it comes to gear. So the rhythm guitars for Depravity Takes the Throne, Phantoms of Pripyat, Sins of the World, and the new one that will be coming out here hopefully in a couple of weeks will be out. We're recorded with this guitar. This one, I'll spend a little bit of time talking about this one. I just got this one. I haven't had the chance to play out with it live yet. This is an Ibanez RGA 742 FM Flame Maple stop tailpiece once again. I've replaced the pickups in this one. Oh, forgot about the pickups in this one. These are active EMG 707s in the neck and the bridge, and this is actually a passive guitar. This has a Kiesel lithium in the bridge, which I swapped out, and a stock pickup in the neck. Haven't got to play with this live yet. I did record rhythm tracks, and I believe I recorded the leads for the new song that will be out shortly. I recorded like one guitar track you'll hear on one, and then the other track with this one, and they seem to complement each other really well. This one, it took me a while to get used to this one because I was used to the active EMG so much with the passive pickups, but I've done some modifications gear wise, and I think I've got these things that sound really close together. Live is what I'm going for, because when I switch guitars live, I want the volumes and the tones to be about the same without much hassle. So you'll be hearing and seeing more of this one live, I hope, whenever we get back out on the road. But I'll pull up another one that I've had for a very, very long time. If you guys have ever seen us live, I'm sure you've seen this guitar on stage 100 times. It is an Ibanez RG450M, M for maple, in a Jetstream green. A lot of people think it looks blue under the lights. I guess it can be kind of confusing, but I don't use this one a whole lot anymore because we are doing so much 7-string stuff. But I did record the leads to Depravity Takes the Throne and the Phantoms of Pripyat on this guitar. I'll show you something really, really cool if you want to zoom in on this. At one time I had all the guitars I had were outfitted with these custom Cycle of Ruin truss rod covers in the colors that match the bodies of the guitars. This is the only guitar I have left from sort of that era, so this is the last one, but hopefully I'll get around to getting the rest of these done. But yeah, this guitar is killer. I think the last gig we played, you know, I'm still using this guitar, so I will use it live some for the 6-string stuff that we have, and it's got it's the only guitar I have that has the whammy bar on it at the moment. So I am having a guitar built. Actually, I've stained it and done some work to it, and it's got to get put back together. But it is very similar to this one, but it will actually have the trim on it, because I like to do a lot of dive bombs and whammy stuff and really kind of show my age on that just a little bit with all of that nonsense. But that's pretty much it for the guitars that I'm using and have used. The only oddball out guitar is had a PRS single cut for just a little bit, 6-string, and I actually used it to track the leads on Sins of the World, which is the new single we have out right now. But as far as guitar goes, that's pretty much my setup. So the next thing we're going to talk about in the signal chain is going to be my pedals and effects, and I don't use a whole lot. I haven't quite jumped into the world of heavy processing and profilers and stuff. Maybe soon, but like I said earlier, I like very simple things. So the first thing I'll be running into is I've always used a wah throughout just about my entire career, and they've always been Morley. I had a Steve Vai Bad Horsey for forever, but I'm a gigantic fan of this Mark Tremonti Power Wah from Morley also. The frequencies are great. I like how expressive it is, and I like the way it sits in the mix. It doesn't get all crispy and fry your ears out like a lot of wahs do. I'm gonna skip over this and actually come up to this little thing that I've got up here. I'm actually changing the way I've done things forever, and I'm going to start moving some things to the floor. Usually all my effects sit up here on top of the amp, but I don't use a lot. Like I said before, this little handy little thing is actually really good. You wouldn't think it would be because it's a very small, cheap, affordable thing, but the two effects that I've always said that I always want to have are delay and a little bit of chorus for cleans and leads, and I actually came across this pedal that has both in one little thing, so I can actually set it on top of my amp, set it the way I want it in the effects loop, and never have to worry about it. I don't have to push two buttons to get the effect. I control my effects loop, on my foot switch, and when I do, this kicks in, and it's simple. So I like simple things on stage. I don't want to have to think about my effects too much. Just play. So this stays on the back line back here on top of the amp, and I'll trigger it down here. I've gotten recently this pedal, and I'll just be honest, the reason I went and got this little Boss Metalcore pedal is because I've had so much downtime. I've been tinkering with tones and messing around with this and messing around with that, and I thought, I'll try a distortion pedal. A very very affordable, simple pedal. So there's just a couple buttons on it, and I think it adds a whole lot of nastiness to what we're doing, and it actually helped me a little bit get my two main guitars to sound a little bit closer as well, because that's really what I was after, is something that's going to get live when I change guitars to get my tone consistent, because there are different guitars, different pickups, one's active, one's passive. So I'll demonstrate this here in just a little while when I'm actually talking about this amp. And then I just have my my controller here for my channels, effects on and off. That's it. Basically, when I hit that button, chorus is on, delay is on, whatever I want is on, and for rhythm, all you're going to hear is a dry tone. So that's pretty straightforward when it comes to my effects. So I keep this back on the back line behind me, and I never have to worry about it. I just hit this, and I normally don't have a distortion unit on the floor, but I'm going to tinker around with that, kind of see what it does for me, especially live, just to kind of see how it goes. But yeah, that's pretty much my my effects rig in a nutshell. Very simple, and when we're going on stage, just get up there and plug in and go, and same thing when we get off stage, it's unplug everything and go, and I don't want to have a whole lot of things to worry about. What's going on in the amp world? I've been using this amp for a very, very long time. It is one of the original Peavey XXX tube amps. They discontinued them for a while, and then they brought them back a few years later. This is one of the original runs. It's a 120 watt tube head, 3-channel head. Cool custom laser cut Cycler Ruin faceplate on there, and that was done just to kind of customize it, and also because the amp didn't come with the diamond plate faceplate that was originally with it. So yeah, the amp's killer. It's loud, it's heavy, it's everything you would want playing this kind of music and then some. This amp was actually used for the recording of, pretty sure I used this amp when I recorded the rhythm tracks for Born for War. It was used for all the tracking in Peavey Takes the Throne and the tracking for Phantoms of Pripyat. The past couple of singles we've done, I've actually been using amp sims in the studio, which are turning out great. But for live situation, I'm probably definitely going to stick with you know, with this tube head. This is the matching cabinet that goes with it. It's a matching XXX cabinet. It's loud. I have this one here. You know, live I'll use this one and a couple of others depending on the size of the venue that we're playing. You know, have a couple on my side and an extra one on the bass side just for reference for him. But actually this cabinet, I don't think this cabinet's been used on. I don't think this cabinet was used on any recordings yet. I know when I recorded the tracks for Phantoms of Pripyat and Depravity, I used a studio cabinet, an old Mesa Boogie 412 in white, one of the really old classic ones that I used for that. But I mean, this cabinet with this head, I mean, they were built to go together. So that's what I'm using. I can demonstrate a couple of the things I like. I like really old school tones. So a lot of times my EQs, you know, will tend to look a little scooped. I'm trying to get a little bit away from that and bring in some different frequencies in right now, but I'll kind of demonstrate a little bit on this amp. The clean tones are super nice with this effects unit that I have. Like I said, old school. I like the big tones with the effects and stuff in them, and a lot of people still do that. But I've always been doing that. So I don't run any effects when I'm doing my rhythm tone. And so, like I said earlier, I have gotten this pedal to kind of beef up the distortion a little bit and mess around with it, and it sounds very heavy. Very heavy sharp. I think that was one of the things that I was kind of missing about this amp. So I love the tones on the amp and everything, but it just didn't have enough like high-end punch. And I've seen a lot of people talking about boosting their high gain amps with a pedal in front of them to get that tone. And I was like, well, if I'm just going to buy a pedal for tone, I'll just find a pedal that has the tone that I like and just use it as my main source of rhythm. I like it. I can mess around with this thing and get like any kind of tone that I want. I love the old school Swedish tones, and this pedal has gotten a lot of that for me. I was talking about the wah earlier. It sounds just, it's got a lot of nastiness to it. Sounds really, really good. Sounds killer live. I'm a wah nerd. I sometimes have to tell myself to back off of it a little bit, or all my solos sound heavily wah'd out. But that's pretty much it for my gear. It's pretty simple. So the amp is controlled, everything right here. I won't really go through all the channels and kind of what they sound like. I mean, my settings are pretty standard for playing this type of stuff. I have a lot of treble, a lot of low end, and incorporate enough mids in there just to give me enough bite so I can cut through the mix live. Especially, I'm in studio, you can do whatever you want, but live you really need to separate yourself from the the low end of what's going on. So I try to stay pretty pretty comfortable with the mid section. I'm slowly starting to bring it up, and it makes a difference. Definitely live, it makes a difference. Talk about my picks for just a little bit. I know some people are into that, some people really don't care, but I'm using the Dunlop John Petrucci signature picks. I think I've always used Dunlop for about as long as I can remember. I used to use the 1mm that were pretty standard, and would watch a bunch of guys play with Jazz 3 picks, you know, all these shredders that played with it. I never could play with them, and then I just kind of forced myself to start playing with them, and it really cleans up your picking technique, especially for solos. That's pretty much it for my rig. So, I mean, if there's any questions or anything else you guys would like to see, you know, let us know on the YouTube channel, or hit us up on the Facebook stuff, and, you know, hopefully get to see you guys out on the road hopefully pretty soon. So take care.